Back with Adrian Salbuchi. All right, as we look around the world, and the talk from intelligent minds is that we are going to have a very bad winter up here. The so-called holiday shopping season, which most businesses literally rely upon to sustain themselves for the better part of the year, will be a disaster. Americans are maxed out. The average household has something like $25,000 in credit card debt here. The banks are not loaning here. Most banks, in fact, are insolvent. The Fed cannot keep playing this game of printing non-existent money much longer. The talk of the dollar demise is becoming louder. So is the talk of the attack on Iran, for that matter, as we mentioned. What do you see happening this winter and your summer down there?
Well, in our summer down here, we just see that there will be a growing political crisis, which is really quite divorced or quite separate from the global crisis. Basically, because our government has shown a total incapacity to really understand the world that surrounds Argentina and to see which is the best place for Argentina to take in there. That will probably be a subject that someday, if you like, we could discuss more at length, because it is very, very local. Now, from the point of view of what we see from down here is happening in America, there is something that I'd like to share with you, which I think might at least bring something to the table that will give us a little bit of food for thought, because we are a country down here which has grown completely accustomed to living with the fact that our government has never been trustworthy, and that our successive governments, both the one we have now and the ones that we have had over the past 35 years, have been really, really extremely bad at getting any result to promote the common good in the national interest. And that is something that, with a team of workers down here and a team of academics, we've actually branded as the natural activity level of anything you do. For example, any one of us has a natural level of activity where you do what you know the best way possible. For example, I can be a pilot for a small Cessna aircraft, and I can do that reasonably well. But if I were to say, okay, since I can drive this airplane, I'm going to do like Mohammed Atta, I'm going to drive a 767. Well, then obviously the risk increases, and I will probably just bash myself against the ground. Why do I say this? And this is something that a British economist living in Argentina has worked on a lot, a guy by the name of Stephen Wheeler, a very good friend of mine. Because America, too, has a natural activity level where you do what you do the best way possible. But for the past 20 years, your financial system has dragged America into doing things at a much higher level than is the natural level for America. In other words, families, you just said it yourself, have indebted themselves with mortgage, car loans, and credit cards, because we figured, oh, it's okay, I can live much better than my income and reality, because we have cheap credit from the banks. So what happens? As you take as you increase your stance beyond your actual natural activity level, you immediately run enormous, exponentially growing risk. And that is what happened, I think, to America starting in September 2008. You realized that you had taken far more risk than what you were prepared. Now, what happens there? When a people, whether it be an individual, a company, or a country, realize that you were living way beyond your means and that the risk that you had taken was astronomically huge, what you had as trust and confidence in the system goes way the other way into mistrust, lack of confidence, and demoralization. So that's going to worsen all your economic woes. In the case of Argentina, we've gone through that so many times that we have grown used to working, whether it be as a country, as companies, or as individuals, knowing that anybody can kick your head at any moment, because you know that you are living really within a system where there's little confidence and there's little trust in how the whole system works. But the good thing for us, in a way, is that we know that in the coming crisis, Argentina can only move upwards as we gain some confidence. But America and Europe, unfortunately, can only move downwards because all that false confidence and trust that you had during the 90s and until 2007, 2008.
Well, I was living in the science fiction.
Exactly. You've been living in science fiction, so now you probably will not go down to your natural activity level and say, let's do things right. But people have become so demoralized that you're going to overshoot the mark, and you're going to go into a whole case of fear, of lack of trust, and of saying, okay, just in case, let's not do this, let's not do that. And people will then, it's already happening, they're going to buy less, they're going to buy less homes, they're going to buy less cars, and that's when the real trouble is going to start, because so far we've maintained the fiction that the values of houses and the values of assets in America still retain a reasonably high level, and yet we all know that that is impossible because it's very difficult to sell a house even if it's a nice one. But the banks are part of the problem because they want to ensure that the fiction goes on, because if they were to put the real value of the assets that they are guaranteeing, they would all go even more bust than they already are. So you have an extremely complicated problem now where you have the combination of excessive issuance of public money by the Fed, excessive issuance of private money by the banking system,